Hola, I am Tony Galvez from Road Trips Spain and Portugal, where we help you plan the perfect trip with practical information and insider tips. Today we are heading to the north of Catalonia to share with you our passion for that little lovely city called Girona, or in Spanish, Gerona. It is a very easy day trip from Barcelona, and stay till the end of the video when we will share advice on how much time you should dedicate to Girona. For those unfamiliar, Girona is on the northeast corner of Spain, south of the border with France and north of Barcelona.
Próxima estación, Girona.
You could reach Girona by car, bearing in mind you will have to drive along a toll road, and it will take you approximately 1 hour and a half depending on your departure point in Barcelona and traffic conditions when you leave the city. You could take the bus departing from Barcelona North station and reaching Girona 1 hour and 35 minutes later. Or you could make the most of the high-speed train departing from Sants station in Barcelona and reaching Girona 40 minutes later. Girona's coach station and the high-speed station share the same location, a modern infrastructure built underground next to the old railway station used to this date by local trains. From the coach station and the railway station to the center of Girona is less than a 15-minute walk. The choice of one transport alternative or the other is yours, but if you're thinking of Girona as a day trip from Barcelona, the savings you get by traveling on the high-speed train, almost 2 hours when compared to the bus, are worth the money you pay for it. Those familiar with the channel know we are very fond of high-speed travel in Spain. We have several videos on the topic, including one explaining how to purchase the high-speed trains. Do not miss them. Let's go back to the map to see the location of the places we're going to mention along the video. But before that, a short explanation so you understand Girona better. The historic center of Girona is formed by two neighborhoods, separated by the waters of the river Onyar. To the west, on the bottom half of the image, it's Mercadal, the region where Girona expanded once the old town became too small. To the east, on the top half of the image, is the Barri Vell, the old quarter of Girona where the medieval city lies. As you will see next, all the tourist places we're going to visit are in the center of the city, which is highly convenient. Plaza de la Independencia, Independence Square, is probably the most popular and lively square in Girona. Its name evokes the memory of the defenders of the city during the invasion by Napoleon troops at the beginning of the 19th century. The square has a neoclassical air to it, and it is populated by bars, restaurants and terraces. It is a very touristy place, but it is quite pleasant if you want to take a break. River Onyar runs right behind the Plaza de la Independencia. We just seen how the river splits the center of Girona in two halves. And right by the riverside you will find one of the most iconic images of Girona, the Casas del Onyar, the Onyar houses. The houses you see today occupy the space of former homes built on top of the medieval wall. Most of the houses were built during the 20th century. The visual appearance of the houses, with a color palette including yellow, orange and ochre colors, is the result of an urban intervention by the local authorities made in the 21st century with the purpose of revitalizing a part of the city that was in a serious state of decay. One of the best viewpoints of the Onyar houses is the Pont de las Peixateries Velles, the Bridge of the Old Fisheries, a name that recalls the presence of an old fish market nearby. The bridge was built in the 19th century by the Eiffel Studio, the very same Eiffel that built the famous tower in Paris. The iron structure of the bridge, painted red, is quite striking. But the best thing about the bridge are the beautiful views of the Onyar River, its houses and the cathedral above them all. The bridge is one of the main entry points into the oldest part of Girona, and it is very popular. Everyone wants to get a photo taken there. Before your trip into the past takes you into the oldest part of Girona, here's our tip. Take a walk along the medieval murallas, the city walls surrounding and protecting old Girona. It is a beautiful walk with lovely views and provides a perfect introduction to Girona. You enter the walls on one end, exit through the other end. And if you're taking the walk in the morning, we suggest you do so through the southern end of the wall we are showing you now on the map. That way, when you finish your walk, you will be in the center of Girona, and for most of the time you will have the sun behind you. The walk along the 19th century wall is wonderful, and if you're traveling with kids, they are going to have a smashing time. Along the walk, there are several towers you can climb, turned into spectacular viewpoints over the city. And if all of this wasn't good enough, there's some more good news for you. Access to the city walls is completely free. We just don't recommend a walk for anyone with mobility issues, given that there are quite a few stairs to climb. Girona is a city of legends, and none is more famous than the one with a lovely lioness at its center. It is the legend of the Cul de Lleona, or the Lioness Bottom. The lioness is one of the tourist icons of Girona. The sculpture representing the lioness from the 20th century sits atop a column. The legend dictates that if you kiss the lioness bottom, you will return to Girona. To turn the fulfillment of the legend easier, the local authorities placed a small iron staircase that doesn't look too nice. If you are going to kiss the lioness bottom, take a lot of care. There have been quite a few people injured attempting to do so, and even in 2015 a French tourist died when he fell from the stairs. And since we are talking about legends, if you are a careful observer, you will see images of flies in many parts of Girona. And that's because the fly, the mosca, is also a symbol of the city, even having its own street. And this is not the end to the legends of Girona. If you touch St. Narcis's foot, you'll have luck, health and happiness. St. Narcis was Bishop of Girona in the 4th century and today is the patron saint of the city. He is intimately related to the legend of the flies of Girona, and if you want to find out about the legend, you will have to ask when you visit the city. The next point of interest we're going to visit in the old city of Girona are the Banys Arabs, the city's Arab baths. Although it should be made clear that rather than Arab baths, what we will visit in Girona are Arab-inspired baths. They are a Christian project from the 13th century built imitating the traditional Muslim baths. During the Middle Ages, the baths were used by Girona's Jewish community and later they were turned into a cloistered convent. The baths were restored and opened to the public in the 20th century. There are 5 different spaces within the baths, the most beautiful of which is the Apoditerium, the first one you will visit. The visit is paid, it is not too expensive and it's worth it. On the description of the video you will find a link to the webpage where you will be able to check times and prices. And now it's a time to get close and personal. We are about to enter the Forza Vella, the old fortress that protected the heart of old Girona, the soul of the ancient city. The fortress was built by the Romans in the 1st century before Christ, and it is protected by thick walls you saw during your walk along the city walls. You will cross those walls as you approach the cathedral, the most important construction of the Forza Vella, and more about the cathedral in a second. Walking inside the Forza Vella takes time travel to a new dimension. There are so many beautiful streets, alleys and corners, and all of them beautifully preserved. Just mentioned the most important building within the Forza Vella is its majestic cathedral, the Cathedral of Girona. It was built between the 11th and 18th centuries, and as a result of such a huge amount of time gone by, the temple combines multiple architectural styles, from the initial Romanesque to the Baroque of its splendid facade and staircase. On the highest point of the cathedral you will be able to spot the sculpture of an angel. If you like to visit the interior of the cathedral, you will have to pay. Have a look around the back of the temple. There is a path that offers alternative views of the cathedral, and right behind it you will find the charming Jardines de la Francesca, a wonderfully secluded garden with lovely views. There's a small neighborhood within the Forza Vella, the old fortress, known as the Cal, the old Jewish quarter of Girona. Cal means ensemble of narrow streets, and that is precisely what you will find in the Jewish quarter. A maze of narrow streets going up and down, and with a strong medieval flavor. It is one of the best preserved Jewish quarters in the world, and the perfect place to get lost in Girona. The Barri Vell, the old quarter, the oldest part of Girona that includes the Forza Vella and the Cal we've just visited, contains many other interesting places, such as the Basilica de San Feliu, the most important temple in Girona before the cathedral was built, or the Plaza del Vi, where you will find Girona's city council, and the unmissable Rambla de la Llibertad, parallel to the River Onyar with its arcades and its commercial life. We are about to mention 3 other interesting places in Girona, but if you're on a day trip, chances are you won't have time to visit them. The first one is the Museo d'Arqueologia de Catalunya in Girona, Girona's archaeological museum, found inside the Romanesque monastery of Sant Pere de Galligants. Girona is also home to a Museo del Cine, Museum of Cinema. And if you are the kind of traveler that likes to get to know the markets of the cities you visit, very close to the old center of Girona you will find the Mercat del Lleó, the Lion's Market. It was opened in 1944, and although from the point of view of its architecture is not remarkable, in its 60 or so stalls you will find the type of produce locals buy and consume. The market is not a tourist market, it's very much a local market. And we want to mention the series Game of Thrones because whether you are a fan or not, you will hear about it in Girona, and that's because Girona was one of the locations for the 6th season of the series. The City Hall agreed to shut the old city of Girona for several weeks so the producers of the series could work at ease, and when we say shut, we mean it. The entire city center was a no-go area for the duration of the shooting. Today you might come across Game of Thrones tours taking you to the locations where important scenes of the series were filmed. We don't think there's anything wrong with it, and in actual fact we are huge fans of the series, but we would not like anyone to think a visit to Girona is worth it just because it appeared in Game of Thrones. Girona was founded in the age before Christ, and Game of Thrones was shot in location in Girona in 2015. The bottom line is, are you a fan of Game of Thrones and thinking of visiting Girona? Great! You're not a fan and are thinking of visiting Girona? Superb too. The experience we have described on this video is unrelated to the fact that a 21st century TV series was shot on location in the city. And to round up our visit to Girona, we are going to talk about food, and more in particular about the most famous culinary family to emerge from the city, the Roca brothers. The Celler de Can Roca, elected best restaurant in the world several years in a row, is in Girona, but here we are going to mention 3 other projects by the same authors. If dining at the Celler de Can Roca is beyond reach for most humans, the projects we're about to mention are more affordable. The first one is the Restaurante Normal, right in the old city of Girona, kind of a low-cost version of the Celler de Can Roca. The second project is the ice cream parlor Rocambolesque, a venue you will also find in Madrid and Barcelona, but it was born in Girona. At Rocambolesque you will find delicious ice creams and lollipops at outrageously inflated prices. Finally, Casa Cacao Cocoa House is a sweet surprise that chocolate lovers won't be able to resist. The hot chocolate we had was superb. And this was our personal take on Girona. We hope you liked the video, and we especially hope you liked Girona, a great day trip from Barcelona. You might be wondering, how much time do I need to visit Girona? Most people contemplate Girona as a day trip from Barcelona, and if you arrive in Girona by high-speed train and return to Barcelona on the high-speed train too, it's not a bad idea at all. But if you could spend at least one night in Girona, you would get the chance to walk around the medieval city at night, which is a wonderful experience. If you have any questions about Girona, make the most of the commentary box below. We'll be delighted to help. Smash the thumbs up if you like the video, and who knows, we might meet in Girona one day. Até mais, hasta la vista, see you soon!